Alright, so back again, and today we're going to be asking the question, in fact we're not going to be asking the question, we're going to be answering the question, when is the best time to queue in Rocket League? I'm sure a lot of you have thought about this before, but today we're going to be answering it. But before we get into that, if you're going to buy anything from this game today, make sure you get it from rocketprices.com. The link's in the description. You can pretty much get anything you want from this place that's in or has been in this game for a cheaper price that you find elsewhere or from the game itself. Made it even cheaper with a 6% off code JET at checkout. So all this video's concept is we are going to be queuing 2v2 competitive, which is at GC2 standard for me at the moment, and we are going to be seeing how we get on today. We're going to be queuing at 12 AM, 4 AM, 8 AM, 12 PM, 4 PM and 8 PM. So you've got 6 different time slots going on here, and we record our win percentage, our average score, and we will see which one is most successful, and that should give you an indication of what the best time to queue 2v2. I mean, there's a lot of factors that we have to consider here. You have to consider the way I'm playing, the standard of which I'm playing at, the rank that I'm at might be different at different ranks. Obviously I'm GC2, might be different at Plat or Diamond, and we also have to consider the teammates and the opposition we get put against. Obviously if you get put against harder opponents at the time, then it's going to come across as a worse value. However, that's kind of part of the video. We have to see kind of when the hardest time to queue is. That's the whole point of this, and figure out what actually is the numerically best time, theoretically best time to queue is. It's not going to be perfectly exact, of course. There will be some variations, but that is what we're trying to figure out today. It's as fair as we can. Obviously there's a lot of things we can't control, but we're testing it the best we could. So if we're playing 5 games at each time slot, we record our win percentage and our average score, and we'll see which is most successful. And we'll start off with 12 AM, nice and bright early in the morning. Let's see how we get on. Right then, so we do start with 12 AM, and this one was very interesting to say the least. It's actually one of the worst ones when you see at the end the stats and stuff like that. We'll comment on that in a second. For multiple reasons, one of it being 12 AM made it very hard for me to concentrate. However, that was kind of assisted by the fact that the standard of play at this time was probably worse than it usually is. I say probably because it's obviously not going to be the case all the time, but the 5 games I played in this rank at this time, the quality was poor. You'll see some of my teammates, the mistakes they make, and some of the goals that do go in the clips you're seeing right now. Some of them are just horrific. I don't know how people at this level are making mistakes like this. We had a lot of toxicity as well, which is always good to see. I love a bit of toxicity, it always makes me laugh. And you see there's a lot of going on here. However, you do get a lot of waiting about due to the queue times. You'll see in a second, you'll see me falling asleep because it was fucking painful. Sitting through waiting so long for these queue times at a time where I'm already sitting up waiting to go to bed. These extra queue times were not favourable at all. So 12 AM was interesting. I just let these clips play out. It's definitely one that needs you to stay focused, because it is very, very hard to keep your focus going on whilst you're tired at this time. If you're tired at this time, a lot of people might not be. A lot of people might be used to play at this time. But for me, going to be like a normal person at a normal time, playing at 12 AM was quite challenging. However, as I said, the standard was a fair bit easier. But having said that, that had a bad impact on us. The fact we had bad teammates to partner up with that, which didn't help us either. We're getting frustrated by the lack of good teammates. You'll see in the clip, you see me getting annoyed at my teammates because some of them were just really, really bad. Don't know if they're tired as well. That could be a knock-on thing you got to think about. People will also be tired whilst playing at this time as well. Well, most people will anyway, especially if you're playing in your region. Yeah, these games are very, very frustrating, these ones. I'll just talk about the games a little bit. We conceded last second a few times. You can see my anger coming out on a few of the clips. And I was losing my head towards the end because some of the teammates we did have were fucking shite. And we did manage to plough through. However, it didn't end up favourable. You'll see in the graphic in a second that we did end up having our worst win ratio throughout the whole video. You'll see that later on as well. As you can see, we won 2 and lost 3. With a pretty good average score, to be fair, which speaks a lot about what happened during the game. But the win ratio, 40%, wasn't great. We didn't move in terms of rank, and those things on the left hand side just summing up what I've spoke about already. My rating for this, however, was 6 out of 10 because it was so easy. However, if I had better teammates, we would have done better overall, but we didn't manage to. But it wasn't that bad in the end. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Now 4 a.m. This is where it gets interesting. As you can imagine, playing at 4 in the morning is not a great deal of fun. You can see me being absolutely fucking shattered there. And it started off badly, and I thought it was going to go to shit. However, you'll be very, very surprised, as maybe you're expecting this. 4 a.m. was, in fact, our best win ratio time. You'll see that when it comes to the end of the graphic. We did very, very well. I don't know whether it's because of my playing better or everyone was just shit. You got to imagine playing at 4 a.m. a lot of people will be in the same boat as you are. I don't recommend playing at 4 a.m. because it's pretty sad waking up at 4 a.m. like I did just to play Rocket League and do that with your life. I wouldn't recommend it. However, we did win our first 4 games. You see me getting frustrated here, but it ended up being good because people just are so bad for some reason. This was the lowest standard we had, of course. 4 a.m. people are going to be stupid, people are going to be shit, people are going to be tired, making bad decisions. I made a few, to be fair, but not as many as the rest of the teammates or opponents. As you can see, I was kind of dominating these games. You see from my average score at the end as well, from the graphic, I did very, very well in these games. But because I managed to hold it together, whereas the others really couldn't deal with the fact they were playing at 4 a.m. and being absolutely exhausted. But these games were, as a whole, very, very good. However, we have to consider this was, as you'll see at the end of the graphic as well, we started off in GC1 on this one, Div 4, and we managed to get ourselves back into GC2, which is the only one that is the case. That might be a factor, although I very much doubt it. Those that have played in GC1, Div 4 and GC2 will know they're pretty much the same thing. Yep, we have to consider the queue times as well, and you'll see, I'm sure there's a clip of me fucking nearly falling asleep again here, because it really was painful having to try and battle through these queue times. Some of them are like 5-10 minutes at least. So it was really, really hard to keep yourself awake when you're waiting 10 minutes for a game, and there's only so much you can do with free play, so that's that. And of course, people being tired and angry, there was lots and lots of toxicity going on. It was fucking class. There's so many shit spams, so many forfeits, and a lot of anger from the other team as well. And from my own teammate in the last game was an absolute twat. This guy meant to be SSL, by the way, as an SSL tournament winner, and he was the worst one I played with all day, and then decided to spam. What a save at me when the whole thing was his fault, but we just ignore that. That was a one-off game. The rest of the people during that time actually weren't that bad, my teammates wise, but the standard was quite poor. Here's the graphic for you then. As you can see, starting rank GC1 Div 4, finishing GC2 Div 1, and those things on the left hand side, some of what I've said. That is, I think, our highest average score, I'm pretty sure, and I'll give it an 8 out of 10. If it was only just the fact they had better queue times and it weren't such a ridiculous time to play, would have maybe got a 9 or a 10. But that's all I'm saying for 4 a.m. 8 a.m. now, I actually found this one of the harder ones to play. This is probably one of my worst displays throughout the whole video in terms of my quality, because it was really hard to get myself going, because I literally just woken up. 8 a.m. is pretty much like the time I wake up nowadays, so 8 a.m. was a hard one to get going, and we started slowly, but we managed to develop into the game. This first game, by the way, I have no idea how we lost. We'll come to it in a second about the standard of play at this time, but honestly, how we won this first game, I'll never know. The other team were fucking unbelievable, but we just about managed to scrape it in overtime, and as I said, people were fuming, and I'll tell you what, we'll talk about more, I'll tell you in the graphic as well. This is literally sweaty kid times. This time of the day is where you find most of sweaty players. So if you don't like playing against sweaty tryhards, do not play at 8 a.m. I tell you now, this is where all the little tryhards start playing. The amount of sweaty kids I played against in this time was actually horrific. It was really, really hard to match them. Some of them are very, very good, but some of them are such sweaty little virgins, mate. I had so many people try to demo chase me, and we had so many games we just about scraped. Especially this last one was outrageous how we managed to win this game. I mean, it was just so all the games are pretty much the same at this period of time. And you see from the graphic, I kind of did get carried in 2 of the games. You see my average score is quite low. My brain was not working. It takes a while to get going. So you want to play this time, make sure you get up earlier, because I was not functioning properly to play at this time. It gets a 5 out of 10 for me as well, just because of how sweaty it was. The only benefits I have is that a lot of people were angry, as a common theme at this rank, to be honest, and the queue times were good. And we also got ourselves into GC2 Div 2 into 1600s for one of the first times. Now coming on to 12 p.m, this one was also interesting. We had a lot of good players at this time. However, during this time, I was actually well up and going. I did very, very well. It's one of my best performances in the video, this one, 12 p.m. I did very well for myself. I was only kind of let down by a few bad teammates and a few very good opponents. However, my score won't reflect that average score at the end of the game, but you'll see what I'm talking about in the clips. I do very, very well. Some of the goals I score are very, very good. And it did make me laugh. There was a lot of toxicity going on during this time, and it was very surprising, really. 12 PM is a strange time for people to be angry at. I don't know why that's the case. But as you can see, there was some terrible teammates. I was losing my head a little bit. But overall, the standard of play was genuinely quite good. So if you want to try and avoid that, I've put it in the negatives so far, a better level. I've put a worse level in the positives, because in my opinion, you want to be playing at the lowest level for the rank possible. That gives you more chance of winning, doesn't it? But there were some strange things going on in this rank at this time. As you can see, there's a lot of strange things going on in these games. But we did quite well for ourselves, to be honest. But yeah, pretty much let down my some of the team. And as you can see, this TikTok guy as well was fucking awful. It says it all. I knew from the start, as soon as I saw TikTok's name, I knew things were going to go pear-shaped. And he just summed up. He's just one of them freestyle ball chaser kids who heard the bollocks, and then it pretty much sticks me over here. I don't really know why he's playing at that time. He's obviously about 12 years old, should be at school. But anyway, we ignore that. That's 12 PM. We'll go into the graphics soon after this last game. Compared to the others, even though I didn't get the best win rate, I actually rated this one quite high because I did play very, very well. I was just unfortunate in the games I lost, to be honest. It was just teammates and the opposition I was put against were kind of unfavourable. I could have easily won 5 out of 5 here. We played very, very well. If you want to play it this time, if you're like me and it takes you a while to get going, playing it this time is not a bad idea. So do your warm up early on, then play at 12 PM. The standard's alright, but it's not incredible, and you find yourself doing very, very well once you've warmed up. That's how I felt anyway. My brain was quite fast, you can see on the left hand side now. Our record, as you can see, we didn't progress at all, but we did go up one game. We're still in Div 1, and this for me gets a 7 out of 10, which is one of the highest ratings in the whole video. As you can see, this one clocks in at second on the rankings so far as well, at 4 PM, right? Well, this is an interesting one because this is generally the time where a lot of school kids get home, and I mentioned that in the graphic. This is angry kids time, this 4 PM, when people get home from school and wanting to start fucking playing Rocket League. This is where you find all your angry little kids. I think they're the bollocks. A lot of toxicity going on, which I don't mind. I quite enjoy that. But it's a lot of people also just throwing games and losing their head and just becoming a ball chase because of it. And that's the part I don't like. I don't mind a little bit of chat toxicity, but not when you just start throwing the game because of it. Of course, the queue times were probably the best at this time, so if you don't like waiting about, queuing at this time is not a bad idea, because you do pretty much find the game pretty quickly, even at GC2, when there's not many people searching at any given time. And we had another TikTok kid here, and he was fucking shite. As you can see, me getting annoyed at him. But the massive negative for me, which is what puts this time score down quite significantly, is the variation of standard really, really threw me off at times. You had some very, very good players, you had some very, very poor players. And it's only a matter of times where I had a poor player and the other two were good players on the other team. So that's the kind of risk you take at this time. Could get one of these angry little TikTok kids who think they know all the fucking shit about this game and not just stitching you up. But that's the risk you take if you play it this time. There's a lot of variation in the stand. That's what I found from my game. So if you don't like that, if you like consistency in teammates, do not queue at this time, because you do get some variations in the standard of play. However, generally the level wasn't that bad. It's just the variation of it that was the problem. And yeah, if you don't like angry toxic kids, do not queue it this time either, because that's what you got a lot. As you can see, people leaving at 2-1 and all sorts of things like that. Just emphasising what I'm saying. And that's that. In terms of the rating and the ranks distribution for this time, as you can see, we didn't progress any higher than what we were. We didn't progress in many of them, to be fair. The average score for me was kind of like mid. It wasn't that incredible. Another 60% win ratio is very, very common in the games I've played, pretty much showing that I'm at the rank I deserve, to be honest. But yeah, 6 out of 10, nothing incredible. It was quite funny to play, but you also had some angry kids and people just threw games that ruined it for me. Lastly, 8 PM. This gets the worst rating from me. This is the least recommended one to play at. I very, very strongly recommend you do not play at this time. This gets the worst rating for me. Despite the fact we did quite well, still got a 60% win ratio. You'll see that at the end. And there were some good players. The variation at this time was off the scale, and the teammates I had in these games, albeit despite this first guy you'll see right now who was good, the rest of them, my god, I don't know what to say. Look at this clip here where he missed an open goal here. This is what I was put with. GC2 players missing open goals like that. and that's what I was put with for the rest of these games, to be honest. It was very, very frustrating, very, very difficult to play with. So if you're one of them that really doesn't like playing with bad teammates and really throws you off and makes you lose your head, do not play at 8 PM. That's when people have been playing all day as well and were starting to get frustrated. And as you can see here, my teammate started scoring own goals, thinking he's so funny. You can see me giving a sarcastic clap there to him. Obviously, the queue times were pretty incredible at this time because most people will be playing here. 4 PM and 8 PM are very good for queue times, when most popular times to play. Yeah, this one gets the worst rating for me. You'll see that later on. My average score actually was quite poor here because I barely completed a game. Most of them were forfeits in terms of my team or the other team, so it was quite hard to complete a game and get my score to the average that it should have been. It was very hard to deal with teammates. We pretty much has like 2 teammates. As you can see, a Toxicity's flying as well at this time. And it pretty much is at all times in GC2. That's not really a fair reflection to call each time toxic, because most of the times are toxic no matter what time you're playing at a GC2. In terms of my play, however, I thought I played very, very well, which is probably the second best one alongside 12 PM of my actual standard play. I played very, very well. Again, if it wasn't let down by teammates, I would have been rating this one very high because of the way I played. However, the standard play, as you can see, this last team I had was by far the worst. And he was a Twitch streamer, and you see me telling you to not fucking watch him at the end there. You'll see in a second. Me telling you definitely do not watch him. He's one of the worst players I've seen in GC2. But anyway, that is 8 PM. As you can see, these are the final standings on the bottom right hand side. This one comes in at third. 4 AM being the best time to play, if we're talking statistically, but I won't recommend it. So if you've got like more of a normal time, 4 PM looks like the best one to do in terms of my success and score and stuff like that. As you can see on the left hand side, teammates, level variation, very, very common things. Queue times and rage are just good at this time. So if you enjoy the rage part of the game, if you enjoy having fast games, queue at 4 PM or 8 PM. And as you can see at the bottom there, 12 AM in terms of my success was the worst, probably because of the time I was playing at. But that's the experiment. You can see the ranks. If you want to go off this, you can. However, obviously it's going to be different for ranks and different for different people. This is the experiment. I tried to make it as fair and even to give an accurate representation as possible, but obviously it's going to vary a lot. There's a lot of things that impact it in terms of teammates being different. I mean, 8 PM could have been way different if I had good teammates. 12 AM could have been, 4 AM could have been a lot different if I had worse teammates. So it's very, very interchangeable. However, if you want to go off this and try and find the best time to queue, 4 AM or 4 PM or 8 PM even. I mean, anyone other than 12 AM probably isn't the worst, because I did make positive progress in all of them. But 4 AM, if you want to wake up at 4 AM, I did the best then. So that's my recommendation for you. I don't think your family or wherever you're living with will be too happy about it if you start playing at 4 AM, but that's that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. It took me a long time. Obviously, it took me 30 games. I had to film 30 games here and film and all. So if you did enjoy this, please show support. Whether that's a like or subscribe. My Discord and my Twitch is all in the description and that. So go and check that out as well if you enjoyed this. And yeah, I hope to see you at 4 AM. If you're in GC2, I hope to see you at 4 AM queuing with me, because that's the best time. I'm going to be playing that every time from now on. Let me know how you lot get on, play at different times. If you want to experiment for yourself. And I'll see you in the next one.